2 minutes to air, 1 minute to live stream.
Yeah, that's great.
1 minute to air. We are now streaming.
Good to meet you. Thank you so much.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. All right, welcome to City Hall. We'll call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Now we'll pass it over to Reverb. Silence. We'll pause for a moment of silence, and tech can also. Thank you. I'll pass it over to Mayor Pro Tem for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's our practice in chamber to stand and salute the flag during the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the
Thank
roll.
you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's not on. No.
Mic is off. There we go. Okay, Mayor Williams,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I'm here.
Councilmember Baker,
Here.
Councilmember Caballero,
Here.
Councilmember Cook,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman requested an excused absence, and then Councilmember Rist.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, colleagues, any announcements? Councilmember Cook?
Great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so sorry.
I didn't think I was my time, but I was going to take it, so go back.
I looked at that and I was like, all right, announcements. No, ceremonial items.
Speakers for those or the receivers.
For,
It's just the ones on the top.
right here? Okay.
Who do we have first? National Arts and
Arts and Humanities. I'm going to get it together. All right. And if I could have Mr. Gerard Staten, yeah, join me at the mic, please. Derek, could you join me at the mic, please? Mr. Staten, we're going to go next.
All right, good evening, everyone. Will Sharon Williams please join me? Hey, Miss Williams. Okay, great. I think there's maybe a couple more folks from the Mayor's Committee.
For persons with disabilities, yes.
Oh, hi, everyone. Miss Marge, Miss Hyde. Okay, great. One, two, and you're good. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chelsea Cook, and I am going to be reading the Proclamation for National Disability Employment Awareness Month. And I've got some great folks here from the Mayor's Committee on Persons with Disabilities. And I'm very honored to be a liaison to that committee as well. All right. Whereas this year marks the 79th anniversary of the National Disability Employment Awareness Month, the theme for this month is Access to Good Jobs for All, emphasizing the importance of ensuring that disabled workers have access to good jobs and equal opportunities, and that employers value hiring persons with disabilities. And whereas workplaces welcoming the talents of persons with disabilities are a critical part of our efforts to build an inclusive community and a strong economy. And whereas recognition of the contributions of persons with disabilities supports full participation in all aspects of community life. And whereas the City of Durham is committed to ensuring that city programs and employment practices effectively serve and benefit persons of all abilities to support individual dignity, self-reliance, and productive lives. And whereas Durham is proud to affirm its commitment to fostering equal access, equity, and the full inclusion of persons with disabilities. Now, therefore, I, Leonardo Williams, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as National Disability Employment Awareness Month in Durham and encourage all residents to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of persons with disabilities throughout our community. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this 21st day of October 2024.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, Madam Manager. These are members of the Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Hillary Honig-Insmeyer and Ms. Marge Clemens, and one of the people that we are honoring and that we want to talk about briefly today. So we're recognizing 4 businesses, and one of those businesses is with us today, and that's Chalet Dance Company. If a representative from ABLR is here, or Durham Exchange Industries, or Candle Science, please stand and join us. All right, and Chalet Dance Company will be accepting the proclamation. So thank you very much. If you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to, and I'm going to talk about your business briefly.
Hello. I'm a dancer, and so we usually use our bodies instead of words. I will say that probably one of the ways that at Chalet Dance Works we work to create equity, access, and inclusion within our culture as well as our field is to actually hire collaborators with disabilities to help us design inclusive experiences for the stage, because how else could we, the sighted, we, the hearing, we, the people with non-wheelchair users, understand those worlds unless we're given the chance to step into it? And that's the nature of the work that we create. So thank you for acknowledging this important work.
So thank you. In addition to Chalet Dance Company, we want to recognize 3 other Durham-based businesses that support the employment efforts of persons with disabilities. The first one is ABLR. ABLR is an accessibility and inclusion organization with a mission to remove barriers for persons with disabilities by creating pathways to employment, changing mindsets, and eliminating the digital divide. ABLR was founded in 2020 by John Samuel, who is visually impaired. ABLR offers a workforce development program to help people with disabilities find meaningful employment. ABLR Works equips future high school students and recent graduates who are blind or have low vision with transferable skills, achieving a remarkable 60% employment rate within 60 days. ABLR also offers training and coaching to help people and organizations change their mindsets and become more inclusive. ABLR's team, which also includes visually impaired analysts, embodies the saying, "Nothing about us without us." The Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities is proud to recognize ABLR for the role they are playing in creating a more inclusive Durham. Next is Candle Science. Candle Science is one of the largest candle distribution centers on the Eastern Seaboard. Candle Science was founded in 2004 in Durham by Michael and Dan Swims. Candle Science provides vocational training experiences for all Durham Public Schools and Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools. In addition to providing vocational training opportunities for students with disabilities, Candle Science also consistently hires students and adults with disabilities. Leadership of the organization are also consistently looking for ways to become more inclusive. They view inclusivity as a continuum that is always progressive and never ending. Candle Science is on the cutting edge of inclusivity for persons with disabilities. The Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities is proud to recognize Candle Science for providing vocational training that is creating a more inclusive Durham. And last but not least is Durham Exchange Club Industries. DECI has been providing job readiness training and placement services for individuals with disabilities since 1966. DECI also trains and employs persons with disabilities in their warehouse, cafeteria, and administrative areas. Job development and placement assistance is also provided by DECI for residents with disabilities that work at prominent eateries, retail stores, and educational institutions. DECI believes that through meaningful, satisfying work and training programs that teach life skills, they can maximize each person's potential and enable them to live more independently, successfully, and productively. DECI is teaching adults with developmental disabilities that will maximize each person's potential by providing marketable job skills, appropriate work habits, communication skills, and social competencies. The Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities is proud to recognize Durham Exchange Club Industries, DECI, for the role they are playing by providing job development and placement services that are creating a more inclusive Durham. Would you please applaud our 4 nominees that are all Durham-based companies? I'm happy to. She kind of talked about the things that I have in here.
I think you should read it because it tells a little more.
I'm happy to. One of the businesses I skip, that's the one that's present, but I was reminded to please read it. So give me just a minute. Charlie Dance Works is a nonprofit, Durham-based, inclusive dance theater company that was founded by the lady that has joined us on stage, Shali Comerford, in 2005. The company is dedicated to the transformative power of dance as a vehicle to eradicate the stigma of those marginalized by disability. Performances by Shali Dance Works are designed with art access in mind to include audience members who are deaf and blind, so they too can experience a dance theater work made by them and for them. Shali Dance Works also hires persons with disabilities as paid collaborators, which is building competencies and expanding job opportunities for those with low vision, blindness, and hearing loss. Chalet Dance Works sees the otherness of disabilities as an overlooked gift that can break down barriers. The Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities is proud to recognize Chalet Dance Works for the role they are playing in creating a more inclusive Durham where all can experience the arts. Again, thank you very much.
So, Ms. Marge, you're going to leave without giving me a hug. Let me tell y'all something. If Ms. Marge calls you, if you don't call her back, she will get you. So I make sure I return her calls. And also, Ms. Marge, thank you for your service. Y'all may not know, she's a retired Marine. And, oh, it's the Air Force. It's a Marine? Yeah, yep. And thank you all to the committee. Really appreciate your service. And to Chalet Dance Company, you know, I can bust a move, all right? We have to come in there. All right, we have to come in there and show you a few moves. But the way my knees are set up, I can't communicate with my body like I used to, so. All right, well, you did say you're inclusive, right? All right. All right. Gerard, it's good to see you. Want to join me? Sorry for the mix-up, folks. I rushed home to get my glasses, and then I left my glasses upstairs. So that's why I came in a bit flustered, and I couldn't see anything. So now I'm ready for the council meeting. And tonight, yeah, considering my background, it's an honor to read this. So here's a proclamation. Whereas the arts and humanities help diverse communities across the United States explore and share their history and culture. The arts and humanities embody much of the accumulated wisdom, intellect, and imagination of humankind. And whereas the arts and humanities enhance and enrich the lives of everyone, the arts and humanities play a unique role in the lives of our families, our communities, and our country. And whereas, despite significant losses due to the coronavirus pandemic, the creative industries remain among the most vital sectors of the American economy. I'm going to repeat that line. Despite significant losses due to coronavirus pandemic, the creative industries remain among the most vital sectors of the American economy, providing new opportunities within their own industry and across sectors, because we're creators, right? That's right. And whereas the nation's arts and culture sector, nonprofit, commercial, education is a $151 billion industry that supports 2.6 million jobs. So, we encourage all community members to celebrate and promote the arts and culture in our nation. Now, therefore, I, Leonardo Williams, Mayor of the great city of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as National Arts and Humanities Month in Durham and recommend its observance to all citizens. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the city of Durham, North Carolina, this 7th day of October 2024. So we're a little behind on recognizing this due to the scheduling, but we're close. Thank you, Gerard.
Thank you.
I'm going to share some words.
Thank you, Mayor Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, City Council members. Good evening. I'm Gerard Staten. I'm the CEO of Lumiere Strategies. I'm a small business and leadership coach. I'm an artist, an oil painter, a writer, an actor, and for tonight, I am also the Vice President of the Durham Arts Council Board of Trustees. It's an honor to accept this proclamation on behalf of the arts and humanities community. We have celebrated October as Arts and Humanities Month for many years. And this year, our appreciation of and our belief in the profound value of arts and humanities is stronger than ever. We have emerged from the pandemic and are working hard rebuilding our sector and welcoming community members, young and old, to amazing art and cultural experiences. I have someone who agrees, throughout Durham. We thank and celebrate Durham's talented artists, writers, and arts and cultural organizations, creative businesses, filmmakers, libraries, historic preservation agencies, all for their work to provide inspiring programs of music, dance, theater, history, literature, and the visual arts. The Durham Arts Council is proud to have led 91 local organizations in the Durham portion of the National Arts and Economic Prosperity Study 6, which reveals economic and social impact of over $233 million from the nonprofit arts and culture sector in Durham. This groundbreaking study centers equity in economic research and highlights the vital role of arts and culture in building more livable communities. The study also shows that Durham's nonprofit arts and cultural industry supports 3,246 jobs and generates $27.1 million annually in local, state, and government revenue. The study demonstrates locally as well as nationally that arts and culture are a critical economic driver of vibrant communities, helping us to attract and retain a talented workforce, supporting jobs, and generating revenue for local businesses. Our sector provides authentic cultural experiences that strengthen tourism and build pride in our community as we share cultural heritage and artistic traditions. And because art is about expression, it also becomes a powerful way for people to share experiences, emotions, and opinions. Across our community, arts and culture are vital to strengthen community engagement, our well-being, our shared humanity, and joy. In fiscal year 24, Durham Arts Council is proud to have provided arts experiences to 627,562 people, awarded $883,256 in cash grants and facility grants to 136 arts and cultural organizations and artists. Thank you, Mayor Williams and City Council members, for your support of the arts and humanities, and thank you for this proclamation.
More reasons why I like saying Durham is dope. That's so cool.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to read the proclamation for Mayor's Hispanic Latino, for Hispanic Heritage Month on behalf of the Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee. And those who are in the audience, I see Maralise, I see Mario, I see Shayla, if y'all could come up, and if I missed anyone. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated annually from September 15th through October 15th to celebrate the histories, cultures, and contributions of Americans with ancestry from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas the 2024 National Hispanic Heritage Month theme is Pioneers of Change, Shaping the Future Together, seeks to recognize the trailblazers who have paved the way for all who have followed. The city of Durham embraces all our neighbors of Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx heritage and recognizes their profound and positive influence in the city of Durham. And whereas the City of Durham recognizes the challenges the Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx community continues to face in our city and the resilience in creating solutions for future generations, therefore the City of Durham continues to recognize the efforts led by community leaders, organizations, and allies to support the Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx communities. And whereas the City of Durham celebrates and encourages the growing number of Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx resident leaders who are adding their voices to our city and county boards, commissions, community organizations, and the City of Durham is committed to improving existing opportunities and opening new doors for Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx residents of all backgrounds to excel in our community. Now, therefore, I, Leonardo Williams, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2024 as Hispanic Latino Heritage Month in Durham, and hereby urge all residents to honor the distinct traditions of the Hispanic, Latino, and Latinx community, unity and their contributions to our city, state, and nation by participating in relevant ceremonies, activities, and programs. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this 24th day of October 2024. And I want to invite the folks behind me. Mario is our wonderful liaison to the Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee. He does wonders for us. Maralise was the long-standing chair. She is now rolled off, but had the privilege of being our first chair after there was lots of reorganization, and did an incredible amount of work for both the committee and across the community. And Sheila Arias is a longtime Latina organizer, a fierce advocate for the Latino community, and does a tremendous amount of work, especially going to Raleigh, where often there are not friendly faces in the General Assembly for the needs of the Latino community. So I just want to thank them and let them have any opportunity, or have an opportunity to say anything. Thank you.
Councilwoman Javiera, Mayor Williams, and the rest of the City Council. I just want to give my thanks for this esteemed honor. I started out as a member of the Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee, and then at some point became the chairperson, and then had an incredible opportunity I couldn't pass up to become employed by the City of Durham, so I had to resign from my post with the Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee. I am the liaison for the committee, and I had to initiate the proclamation process, and being so new to it, I was not able to do it by the deadline to make the last meeting when most of the members of the committee would have been here. So I apologize to my committee members who may be watching this on TV that we would have rather had all of you here. But this is an incredible opportunity, and I would like to thank everyone, and I would like to pass the mic on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Durham. I sincerely appreciate it. It just means a lot. And I was reflecting earlier, and when I arrived to this country, to this city at the age of 12, I've been here for more than 20 years. Let's just leave it at that. But it's amazing to see the growth as a diverse city, a welcoming city. And I feel very privileged to work aside many organizations and many groups and many families on both sides. It just brings hope. Very excited about the disability group. I have a child with special needs, so I can honestly relate to that as well. But I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for coming united and being one, to try to meet families' needs where they are, you know, having an open space for us. And inclusion is the key. And I just continue to see it, and hopefully by the time I have grandkids, we can be more and more inclusive in a way wide world. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Williams, Council. Today we celebrate the culmination of a month's worth of our history, our losses, our challenges, our triumphs, and our joys. While we make up 17% of Durham population, we give much more than that in our work in our businesses and our dedication to this community. Our hope is that the City of Durham will see their brothers and sisters and siblings in the Latina Hispanic community and see them beyond documentation status, beyond language barriers, economic status, beyond disabilities, and see the heart of a people who work hard and love hard and are proud to be a part of the Bull City. For the last 5 years, I have proudly served as both chair, vice chair, and technical liaison to the City of Durham Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee. Side note, never be late to a meeting because they make you chair. The committee came back right before the pandemic took us from connecting in person to completely virtual. Even with the challenges presented, we were committed to serve our community and advocate for Hispanic Latinos in Durham. We rallied to gain access to language, even translating documents until the program got started. We provided opportunities virtually for the community to address issues such as mental health and access for our youth, intimate partner violence, DPS programming, and so much more. My heart is full knowing that we did our best and that I leave the committee in good hands, and I'm excited for what's to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service and leadership. All right, those are all of our ceremonial items. Now we'll get to announcements. Councilmember Cook.
Great. Again, welcome everyone. Happy to have you, those of you in person, everyone watching online now or later. I'm going to be really brief. Just another plug. Early voting has started in North Carolina. That is the safest time for you to cast your ballot. I see some folks in the audience with their stickers on. Yes, good job. Okay, folks have been early voting today. I'd love to see that. Again, a very, very long ballot. So if you want to make sure that your voice is heard on everything, it has been recommended to me, and I think it's a great idea. Flip your ballot over, start from the bottom, work all the way up to the top. Let the federal races be the last thing that you do, and that way you know that you will hit all of the races. We have some really important things on a statewide level, obviously on a national level, and including a local level. We have two bond referenda on the ballot for you, and you can learn more about that on the city website, but we are hoping that you'll vote yes for streets and sidewalks and our Parks and Rec bond. My second thing is that I had the opportunity to hang out at the Free Store at Open Table Ministries last week. I just wanted to put a little plug. These folks are out there every Tuesday morning, and I want to give y'all the address. It's at the Trinity United Methodist Church. It's at 215 North Church Street. Every Tuesday from 9:30 to 11:30. There's a free store, there are showers, folks are coming in and getting their necessities, and I also heard that they always have need for volunteers, and I'm gonna try and make it out there a couple times a month, and I hope you'll join me as well. So these are for unsheltered folks in our community who need anything from basic clothing items to necessary hygiene. They can find that at the free store. They can come get whatever they need in their sizes. Those things are always stocked, and they can come take a shower, and they can come get other resources. So it is a great program that is run by a really lovely nonprofit in Durham. I hope to watch them grow, but for now, if anybody wants to join me on Tuesday mornings, 9:30 to 11:30 every week. And those are my announcements. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Baker.
And I will, I think you're probably going to hear this from a lot of folks, but I will also add my voice to Councilmember Cook to remind you to go out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. It's very important. I also encourage early voting. You can early vote through November 2nd, I think 3 p.m. And there are a lot of different sites that you can early vote at. I like the idea of starting on the back side at the bottom and working your way in that direction. It's not how I did it, but definitely encourage voting. I would also add to remember to bring your photo ID. If you're using a driver's license, actually can be expired for 1 year. So remember to bring your photo ID. That's one thing I remember a lot of people end up forgetting. So if you early vote, that's another benefit. You can go back home and get it. Or you can vote another day or vote election day. So just remember to do that. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Definitely go vote. I also just want to highlight the work that Kids Voting is doing in our community. Kids Voting is an organization that goes and helps instill civic duty in our children. So they run kids voting. So if your kid wants to go with you to vote, or you have another young person, encourage them to go with you. They have a ballot. It's really fun. I was able to read with kids on Saturday, and there was a really cute book called, I read it in Spanish and English, and it was adorable because it really broke down the idea of voting in the simplest ways for kids. And so I just want to highlight the work that they're doing. They are a longstanding organization. I know my kids did kids voting. And I also just want to shout out all the folks whose kids might be voting for the first time. So my oldest will be casting her first general election ballot, and we will be going here soon. And I know that many in her generation are extremely eager to vote, and so I hope that they come out in the numbers that we need. Often our younger voters don't turn out in the numbers that we need, so I'm really hoping that Gen Z shows up. Thanks.
Councilmember Rist.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Madam City Manager, colleagues, members of the public here in the audience and also online. So I've just got a couple of announcements. First of all, I want to say a week ago Sunday, I had the opportunity to take part in the Movable City celebration organized by Bike Durham. Thank you, John Talmadge and your staff. Well done. And there was, so part of the celebration was this brilliant idea to do a 10-mile bike ride through Durham to visit some of the parts of town and neighborhoods that plan to benefit from this upcoming bond issue that my colleagues have mentioned. So thank you for organizing a wonderful day, a wonderful bike ride, but a great way to learn about what this means for our city. So I'll use that again as a shameless plug to say, please vote for the bonds, $200 million in bonds for streets, sidewalks, and parks. Vote yes on both bonds. The second thing is, last Tuesday, I got an invitation from the boys and girls of Cub Scout Back 424 to come speak to them about citizenship and voting. We had an amazing discussion with the Cubs, and so one thing they asked me was, they said, like, what are the qualities that are required for you to run for city council? And so I asked the Cubs, I said, so what are the qualities required to be a good Cub Scout? And we found out that some of the qualities like honesty and diligence and compassion are qualities that are same to both the Cubs and our elected city council members. So we had a great conversation. The other thing they were fascinated about was, here's a question. It was like, can you vote for yourself? And I said, yes. And so for the Cub Scouts, maybe you're listening online, Cub Scouts in Pack 424, hope you run for office someday. And when you do, you can vote for yourself. The last thing is, last Thursday, and this is, I didn't realize we're part of now National Arts and Humanities Month. I was honored to be present in Mooresville for the annual celebration of the induction ceremony for the North County Music Hall of Fame. You all know we have Music Hall of Fame in Kannapolis. They have an annual induction ceremony. And last Thursday, Durham-based Merge Records, which is absolutely phenomenal, one of a kind, one of the most respected independent labels in the country, right here in Durham, actually just around the corner from our City Hall. They were inducted in the North County Music Hall of Fame. Quite an honor for Merge Records. So I want to give a big shout out to Merge co-founders Laura Balance and Mac McCon. Literally started Merge Records in the basement of, I think it was Mac's house. Huge success story. So congrats to Mac and to Laura and all the folks at Merge Records. A great success story. And we wish them many, many more years of success in the record industry. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sounds good. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Glad you got your glasses. Good evening, colleagues, everyone in the room, and whatever platform you may be watching on this evening. Thank you so much for being with us. Firstly, friends, I want to send condolences out to a family who was absolutely torn apart by tragedy. A young woman was murdered in our city last night, killed in our city last night in her 30s. A former mayor used to say that anytime gunfire goes off in our city, it rips a hole, not only in that family, but in the hole in the family of our city, a hole in the family of our city as well. I want to thank the Durham Police Department as well. An arrest was made. There is always a presumption of innocence. That does not mean the case is over, but I do want to thank the men and women of the police department who acted diligently and are still investigating this terrible, terrible tragedy. But I do want that family to know that they are not alone tonight, and that there are thousands and thousands of people praying for you and sending you light and love as once again gunfires sounded in our city. May God bless them and comfort them. On a lighter note, I want to thank my colleagues and associate myself with them about early voting. Mr. Mayor, while you were in a plane on your way back to town, I had an opportunity to officially welcome a former U.S. president and one of the vice presidential candidates of one of our major political parties who are running for vice president to their city to kick off early voting this past week here in Durham. With all due respect to our friends in Georgia, they had a record-breaking day, but we're expecting North Carolina to even top the energy that Georgia broke. I did want to say, I saw an article recently saying that African-American turnout is lower than it has been during early voting. You know, anecdotally, the lines at Central look pretty long to me, but just in case, I just want to encourage all of us to take advantage of early voting. I know there's some, like my parents, who are old school folk who like to vote on election day. They don't trust that other stuff. They want to vote on election day, but I assure you, your votes will be counted if you take advantage of early voting. So please, ma'am, please, sir, take advantage of early voting, and please also remember to bring your ID. So thank you, colleagues, for leaning in on that. Finally, I want to send a shout out, happy anniversary to Sister Cities of Durham. Many of you are aware, and some of you may not be aware, we have sister city relationships with cities around the world: China, Romania, Costa Rica, England, Africa, and Tanzania and Africa. And I had a wonderful opportunity to be at their celebration last week. Handed out some great awards on behalf of the mayor and the council and read a proclamation. But colleagues, I have a request of you and an invitation and a bit of a challenge to each of you. There seems to be a notion that the Americans don't go see our sister cities, that they always send delegations to us, and we're not very good about going to see them. So I was asked to ask each of you to pick a city, and I know we're extremely very busy, but let's make an effort to visit officially one of our sister cities. Throw a dart at a map and maybe choose one, or maybe we can divide up. I know we're extremely busy, but I've been asked to ask members of the City Council to remember our rich and deep relationships with our sister cities around the world, and to make a concerted effort to each of us visit at least one sister city while we occupy these seats. So there you have it. Happy anniversary to our sister cities. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yield to you.
Thank you so much, and challenge accepted. That is already in my plans this year. We are working on which country we're going to go. I'm just working on finding some sponsorship to be able to take some youth from our community with us. So I look forward to that. Keep close contact with many of our sister cities mayors. Really talking about a lot of climate initiatives with the mayor of Arusha in Tanzania. And we will be rolling out the red carpet for Kunshan, China, November 14th and 15th. Really excited about that. So this mayor is taking that extremely serious. And so the mayor of Kunshan will be coming here. I am, unfortunately, Mayor Pro Tem, I will be delaying my trip to the NLC to welcome them, and look forward to, just like I said, rolling out the red carpet. We will make a mass call to welcome the mayor and their delegation to the Bull City, and I'm really excited about that. And we have a lot of participants across the state that will be playing a role in that as well. So yes, Sister Cities, happy anniversary. Speaking of sister cities, it's not one of ours, but an international relationship. I had the chance to spend last week. I am a Bloomberg fellow, mayor fellow, and spent last week in Mexico City. And it was quite the experience. Just being with 100 specially selected mayors around the world, and just being able to just have a day of innovation, idea sharing, and not only just sharing those ideas, but also getting access to financial sponsorship potentially. And I quickly, with our staff member, Assistant Budget Director Andrew Holland, when Michael Bloomberg got on the mic and said, "So, for you all that are still here," because many people left early, "here's the mayor's challenge. Put your idea forward, and if you win, I'll give you $1 million to carry it out." And we have some really cool ideas that we're going to put forth here in Durham. Hopefully we win. We're pretty competitive, and we do a good job of winning, so we shall see. Was able to, and just quickly, one scenario that really stood out to me, just to give you the brevity of this experience. I'm sitting at the table, Michael Bloomberg is to my right. I can't remember his name, but it's probably best not to say it, but the brother of the mayor of Kyiv, Ukraine, is sitting across from me. Across from me also is Shalando, who's the mayor of Lusaka, Zambia, and then Florence, who's the mayor of a new city in Uganda, Masaka City. But to my left is a young man, which I will also choose not to say his name. Russia took out the communication satellites in Ukraine, and they were not able to communicate for a period of time. This young man created innovatively a technology that allows them to utilize two-way communication via their mobile devices, and that is how the Ukrainian citizens are communicating and outsmarting the Russians who are invading their country. And Michael Bloomberg flew them from Ukraine out of the war zone to share their communication technology and their innovation with the rest of us mayors. And that is the type of caliber and experiences that we're getting when we go to these events. And we're able to bring those ideas back home. And we're able to compete for grants to actually implement them. And that is the type of experiences we get when you are selected as a fellow. And it just gave me the great honor of being able to represent Durham there. And, it's also cool that they pay for the entire thing. So what an experience. So thank you to Bloomberg Philanthropies, and it was a great chance. It was a great opportunity to meet mayors from around the world that are doing really cool things. But I will say Durham is probably the most, if not one of the most, advantageous, or however you want to say it. We've received the most benefits from Bloomberg, and we have for years, from Bill Bell being elected along the same time that Michael Bloomberg was, to Steve Schul bringing so many campaigns here through the Bloomberg Philanthropies, to Mayor O'Neill, and now myself. Durham, from the asphalt art to the Back on the Bull campaign to the DEER program, the Innovation Lab, all of those are Bloomberg affiliated. So I just really appreciate that investment, and I look forward to continuing it as we're doing with the African American Mayors Association. Today we have some more guests from the Duke Emerge, am I saying this right, Emerge or Immerse? The Duke Immerse program. And I was able to surprise them and have dinner with them at Luna Rotisserie tonight. And we talked about just a little bit of everything. Really excited because my new communications intern, Arif, is amongst them. And a few students from the Student Senate. And professors, Dr. Buckley and, I'm gonna try this, Miss Sue, I always call you Miss Sue. Wasielek? All right, Dr. Wasielek and Dr. Buckley, thank you all for always bringing the students here and just immersing yourself in this experience with what democracy looks like, So thank you. Also, I was put in the hot seat today and had maybe about 50 questions, 50 little individuals throwing questions at me, very similar, Councilmember Rist, to what you experienced, of third graders from Forest View Elementary. And there are questions from what is it like to be mayor every day, to, where do you go and get quiet time, to what is your favorite milkshake, and to also how tall are you? And the response to that, when I give it 6'5", they always say, wow. And it also didn't help that I was standing up and they were sitting applesauce crisscross on the ground. So what a stark difference. And just to what my colleagues have said, you need to vote, folks. We got to make sure we're voting. And yes, North Carolina just broke a voter turnout record. But still, the numbers are not representative of what it could be. And you choose to vote for who you want, but we do need more people taking advantage of this process, because this is how we make sure our voices are heard. And you have to be amongst the process so that you're not amongst the folks that are coming in later who didn't vote and have a problem with everything, And I have my bias. You can see me afterward, and I'll tell you that. But in this public seat, I cannot tell you who to vote for. But just look online, because I had the honor of going over to NCCU and just, galvanizing some of the students with the chancellor and Dr. William Barber. And we marched to the polls, literally march. I got up there with the drum majors. That video has been, I believe, viewed more than 7 million times. It's officially gone viral, and NCCU college students are leading the nation of HBCU college students and college students in general that are voting. And that's coming out of Durham. So I want the city to take the same role and lead the nation, and let's show people how to show up and show out. Let's show up at the polls and make sure that we're doing our part. And I know November 1st is Democracy Day at Duke. I will be there with you, just like I was with NC Central. So we're going to make sure that Durham is an example of what, how to take advantage of our civic obligation. On Wednesday night, there is an Instagram account called The Black Man Can. I will be live on at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. actually. The audience base is about 1.5 million, and I look forward to talking about the importance of, voting. And, let's just make sure, let's all the narratives and everything that folks are saying, just get out and vote, all right? Let's just get out and vote. All right, with that being said, we're going to get to the business. Oh yeah, shout out to the Block Burners and the local motorcycle club. Many of you don't know, I ride motorcycles. And I put on a suit and tie the other day because I had to meet the vice president at Air Force 2. But I did put on my suit and tie and get on the motorcycle, and I went and talked to hundreds of bikers about the importance of voting as well. And then I rode to the airport. So just having a little fun, safely, of course. All right, with that being said, now, let's get to the business, because Councilmember Javier said, I need to get home because I'm tired tonight, so. I would now pass it over to the manager for any priority items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Durham City Council. I do have one priority item for you. It's agenda item number 22, purchase contract for Brasco International, Inc. for 60 bus shelters. The additional information requested during the October 10th, 2024 City Council work session has been attached. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Attorney.
Good evening, Mayor Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and members of the council. It's good to be with you. The City Attorney's Office has no priority items tonight.
Thank you, and Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. The City Clerk's Office does have one priority item. It's item number 31, the resolution to adopt the NACTO Urban Street Design Guide and Urban Bikeway Design Guide as official City of Durham Bikeway and Street Design Guides. The attachment has been updated.
Thank you so much. And at this time, I will read the consent agenda. Councilmember Caballero, watch this. We're going to get through it quick. And I won't make promises I can't keep. So I won't promise, but watch this. It's going to go quick. Tonight. Number 1, Durham Convention and Visitors Bureau, Discover Durham appointment. Number 2, Racial Equity Commission appointment. Number 4, Durham Planning Commission appointment. Number 5, Human Relations Commission appointment. Number 6, Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee appointments. Number 7, Fiscal 2025 Grant Agreement for an Immigration Legal Defense Project. Number 8, 2024 Durham City County Emergency Operations Plan. Number 11, Capital Improvement Plan, Time Division, Multiple Access TDMA Upgrade Project. Number 12, purchase of Paratech equipment for new fire department rescue apparatus. Number 13, Forest Hills Spray Ground and Playground Design Contract with our, there we go again, contract with Architecture PA. It's not a typo. Number 14, service contract with computerized maintenance management system from Brightly Software Incorporated. Number 15, supersedes grant project ordinance 16190, the United States Marshals Service 2023 Fugitive Apprehension Task Force Agreement Project Ordinance. Number 16, supersedes grant project ordinance number 16357, the United States Department of Justice United States Marshal's Office, fiscal year 2023-2024, Federal Asset Forfeiture Funds Grant Project Ordinance. Number 17, Street and Infrastructure Acceptances. Number 18, Utility Extension Agreement with Meritage Homes of the Carolinas, Inc. to serve Arvin Subdivision Phases 1 through 4. Number 19, Contract for Foray Digital Evidence Management System. Number 20, Contract with TT Faster LLC to upgrade Fleet Management's Information System. Number 21, Contract with Mainline Information Systems LLC to upgrade the city's firewall and VPN solution. Number 22, Purchase Contract with Brasco International Incorporated for 60 bus shelters. Number 23, Transit Grant Project Ordinance Amendments. Number 24, updates to the low-income monthly parking discount and voucher program for evening parking rate. Don't want to pull it, but I'm really glad we are getting to that tonight. Number 25, governing agreements for on-call professional services, water, wastewater, and utility management. General business agenda. Number 3, Durham Affordable Housing Implementation Committee appointment. Number 10, Watershed Interpretation, Patterson Place. Number 31, resolution to adopt the NACTO Urban Street Design Guide and Urban Bikeway Design Guide as official City of Durham Bikeway and Street Design Guides. Number 27, Consolidated Annexation, Mineral Springs Townhouses. Number 28, zoning map change, 302 Morreene Road. Number 29, Consolidated Annexation, Oxford Ridge. Number 30, permanent closing of 165 linear feet of Hamlin Street. And items that are, okay, those presentations. Yeah, public hearings, not presentations. All right.
Motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yes. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded to accept the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
The motion passes 6-0.
Thank you so much. All right, we will get to our presentations. No, I'm so sorry. General business items. Item number 3, Durham Affordable Housing Implementation Committee. Who was it to pull this? Was it?
So I think there was a, we didn't have a, we were split vote, right? So, is that right? Yeah. So I think we discussed this afterwards. I'm happy to switch my vote to Gonzalo Arriagada for that.
Okay, thank you very much,
What we need to do.
Member Reese. That's all you have to do.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the Durham Affordable Housing Implementation Committee appointment.
So moved.
Right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote. Thank you. All right,
The motion passes 6-0.
thank you so much. All right, we have the Watershed Interpretation, Patterson Place, number 10.
Mr. Mayor, I had pulled that one just to do a little bit more research, but having gotten some input from the community, I'm good to go on that one. So I would make, unless there's any other discussion, I'd be happy to make a motion for item number 10.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to receive, to authorize the submittal to the North Carolina Environmental Management Commission of a request to remove the parcels identified in the application in attachment C from the Falls Jordan Watershed Protection Overlay Protection Area.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
The motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you. And number 31 has been updated. Councilmember Baker, did you want to address that or you want to just go for it?
I'm happy to just go for it. This is a resolution to take a step that gives us innovative tools to be able to move toward streets that are safer and more comfortable for pedestrians and bicyclists. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Is that 20, not that one? I didn't yet have any signs. I think. Oh, I did actually support, yeah. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3. All right, I have some speakers signed up for this one. They're all proponents. The first I have is, I'll just call everyone up to the mic. Mary Rose Fontana, John Talmadge, and Chris Parasite. Welcome, you have 3 minutes.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, and thank you for this opportunity to provide comments. As a member of Bike Durham, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission, and the Vision Zero Coalition, I believe these design guidelines will progress Durham towards council's commitment to Vision Zero and increase walking, biking, and transit use throughout the city. As part of BPAC, we review and provide comments on development opportunities for rezoning cases, which often includes requests for sidewalks, multi-use paths, and other specific bike ped transit infrastructure. However, we do not often have the opportunity to comment on non-rezoning cases, which lead significant gaps throughout the city. Currently, private developers are not required to build sidewalks, nor are they required to build walking or biking infrastructure under a specific standard. This has caused inconsistencies between what the city wants and NCDOT's minimum requirements, which leads to continued inconsistencies throughout the city and ultimately the city not getting what it's requesting. Incorporating these guidelines into the UDO, construction standards, and the city's internal street designs will reduce these inconsistencies between developments, encourage more walking, biking, and transit use throughout the city, and bring the city closer to reaching its Vision Zero goals. I encourage the council to adopt these guidelines so that city staff have a statement of policy to make decisions that will improve the way our streets are designed. I urge the council to ask for updates on how these guidelines are being incorporated into the UDO and construction standards as part of the regular UDO briefing over the next year. Thank you.
Thank you. You can speak anytime since you know how to get there before 3 minutes. I like that. Now, thanks for coming, Mayor Rose. Mr. Talmadge.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. We urge you to adopt this resolution. This is another step in the leadership that this council has shown in its commitment to Vision Zero and creating a city where it is safe and comfortable for everyone to walk, bike, and get around with transit. We're particularly supportive of the development of the construction standards as a way to implement the vision of these guidelines. And to give clear expectations to private developers for what the city expects when the streets are being built and then ultimately adopted or taken into the city's network. We're also very encouraged by the conversation that the staff has initiated with.
Mr. Talmadge, could you pause to, hold on 1 second. Could you test the mic again? I think you went out. Okay, yeah, just speak right into it.
We're also encouraged by the conversation that staff has begun to have around how to incorporate some of these guidelines into a street design manual that would connect these guidelines into specific standards for different street types and to the city's regulatory process. A street design manual, such as has already been adopted by the cities of Charlotte and Raleigh, is a valuable tool for a complex organization like this Durham's local government. It allows different departments, divisions, staff during turnover to be able to look at a common set of not just values, but standards that should be applied when they're working on very complex projects in our streets and that are publicly managed and public projects as well as the private streets. It's time for Durham to join Charlotte and Raleigh in developing and adopting a street design manual. So let's adopt these guidelines tonight, get started on the construction standards revisions, and take the next steps by working on a street design manual. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Lastly, we have Reckless Roxborough? No, Chris Peristine.
I'm just going to have to change my name to that, I guess. Mr. Mayor, City Council members, surprise, surprise, I'm coming here to advocate for adopting the NACTO guidelines. And one of the things I want to talk about, I'm also a member of BPAC, and I share a lot of the other speakers' viewpoints about having a tool available to us to provide standards. A lot of times we have some confusion when we talk to developers about what's in our transportation plans versus what's in our standards versus what's in NCDOT standards, and setting some sort of clear, defined expectations gives us something to lean on that lets us ask for consistent transportation infrastructure that will benefit all kinds of communities. One of the things I think about where I live is I'm right on the edge of downtown, and if I go west into downtown, the streetscaping on Main Street and Chapel Hill Street is absolutely fantastic. There's bulb outs, clearly marked crosswalks. There's even one pedestrianized street on Orange Street, which I absolutely love. A lot of cool things going on. Recently on Rigsby, there was some new flexi posts that went in to provide daylighting to prevent conflicts with a bus route. Frequently cars would park there despite the no parking sign, and now that there's actually a physical obstruction in the form of flexi posts, you don't see that. It also provided a space for parking of scooters off the sidewalk, not obstructing it, and that's also absolutely fantastic. And it's a really cool thing. If you go through NACTO, you'll see a lot of these same elements talked about in NACTO, but what you don't see is when I go east from my house into East Durham, all of a sudden the sidewalks disappear and there's gaps and there's not clearly marked crosswalks, if there's even marked crosswalks at all. There's not bump outs, and all those things contribute to a very different feel as a pedestrian. And when you think about bus users, a lot of them are going to be pedestrian users at the beginning, or pedestrians at the beginning and end of their trips, and oftentimes in some of these areas that have the worst infrastructure. And so I think this is an important way to get some level of baseline in all our neighborhoods, not just the nice areas that are the new fancy places getting nice new development, but in all of our communities. I'd also like you to think about the aspects of Vision Zero. We've got 20 years to get to our 0 deaths and serious injuries goal. We've been working on the rail trail since it's been in the master plan for 20 years. To give you some context about time frame of what we've been doing, so I think it's really important to start taking these first steps. And in terms of Vision Zero, you got Vision Zero, that's great. I'm really glad we did that, and I really like our new Vision Zero coordinator. I think she's doing great work. But at the same time, the vision without action is just daydreaming, and we got to start taking some steps, and I think this is a good first step towards laying the groundwork that's going to get us there. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the speakers I have. Colleagues, is there any discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much to the speakers who've come out tonight. I have a question for staff. Staff. You look like you don't work here. You made a face like. I look forward to supporting this resolution. I want to thank publicly Councilmember Baker for shepherding and quarterbacking this for us. I do want to, for the sake of lay people watching this discussion tonight, I want to ask kind of a nuts and bolts question as to what this will do practically. Insofar as these guidelines represent, I hope I'm not overstating the case, insofar as these guidelines represent best practices in the industry, would we not have done this anyway, or why haven't we, or would we not have adopted this? And in adopting this, how will this change how we do our business day to day? What is the impact this is going to have?
Yes, so Bill Judge, Transportation. We are utilizing these guidelines in all of our projects that are really city-initiated capital improvement projects now. So this would formalize that existing best practice as you described. the real, I guess, larger context to this is it would then take it a step further in that we would work to revise the reference guide for development that is used for new streets that are constructed by private developers. Those standards, we do have standards, so, but they are going on 20 years old at this point. So I would not call those necessarily the best practices in terms of particularly bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. So this would basically carry forward those standards and incorporate those into those documents. The other main advantage to this resolution, if it is passed, is there is under the bipartisan infrastructure law, there is a provision that if we were to receive federal grants through federal highway, those are typically passed through the state of North Carolina NCDOT. This would basically allow us to design those projects using the NACTO standards, which we are already, but there is, I guess, some state DOTs, some potential where the state DOT, since they are passing it through, could require a different standard. But if we have these officially adopted, we would be allowed to utilize those. It would be preempted from requiring a different standard.
That's good to know. So final question, forecasting a little bit. By us codifying it and placing the imprimatur of this council and the city on it, could there possibly be times when, for whatever, either financial or preemption by the state, we could not use these guidelines and members of the staff would have to explain to us why the guidelines aren't enforceable in that particular situation because we're codifying it now?
Yes, so these would still only apply to city projects on city streets. So there are a number of NCDOT roadways that are often subject to many of our projects and concerns of our community. Mangum Roxborough two-way conversion, things of that nature. So as long as those streets are continue to be maintained by NCDOT, we would have to continue to meet their standards and requirements.
Thank you very much. Those are all my questions. I look forward to supporting this important step. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And just also for the public, this is how the democratic process works. You know, we want to make sure we sharpen it up, make sure it's reflective of everyone's, desires. We all want safe streets. So it's a matter of, principle and practice and implementation and all of those things. So thank you, Councilmember Baker, for going through the gruesome process of getting this here, and look forward to supporting it.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move we approve the resolution.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there a second? All right, thank you. So the motion is to adopt by resolution the NACTO Urban Street Design Guide and Urban Bikeway Design Guide as the official City of Durham Bikeway and Street Design Guides. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. Thank you. Out of order here. All right. And now to our public hearings. All right. Thanks, students. Thanks for coming. Number 27. It's funny. They said, will there be fireworks? I said, no. Just come and enjoy. It's going to be boring. Good stuff.
Awesome. Mayor Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and honorable council members. Good evening. I'm Andy Lester. It's good to be with you tonight. Before we begin, staff would like to state for the record that all planning department hearing items have been advertised and noticed in accordance with the state and local law, and affidavits of all notices are on file in the planning department. A request for utility extension agreement, voluntary annexation, and initial zoning map change has been received from Deb P. Bestola of Yeti Hospitality Group, LLC, for 2 parcels of land totaling 10.844 acres and located at 1402 and 1410 South Mineral Springs Road. This annexation petition is for a contiguous expansion of the primary corporate limits. The current zoning is residential suburban 20. The applicant proposes to change this designation to Planned Development Residential 5.349 through a textual development plan to allow up to 58 townhouse units. The properties are currently designated mixed-use neighborhood on the place type map. The proposed PDR 5.349 zoning is consistent with the designated place type. If the proposed zoning is approved, there will be no change to the place type designation of mixed-use neighborhood. This place type extends west from South Mineral Springs Road to Interstate 885 and contains contiguous undeveloped parcels. As those areas continue to develop, future development should continue to diversify housing and promote a mix of uses to fulfill the intent of the mixed-use neighborhood place type. Thank you. Staff and the applicant are available for any questions.
Thank you. You've heard the staff report. Colleagues, are there any questions for staff?
I have one question. Thank you for the presentation. I noted in the package that there was a request from staff to create, for the developer to create a 10-foot wide shared use path on 3 parcels to the south, which I guess are off-site, correct?
Correct.
It seems to be feedback in these mics, aren't we? Yeah. Seems to be a little bit unusual. We usually don't make those kind of requests. I'm just kind of curious what was behind the staff's request. I know that the developer didn't respond to that, so just would love to a little more information about that request.
Sure. I'll defer to Bill on that one. Thank you.
Yeah, so that was a request basically for an additional proffer to pick up the 3 adjacent small residential parcels that are remaining to try to extend and complete the sidewalk network. Otherwise, there'll be a gap in the sidewalk there. And yeah, I don't know if the applicant would have to respond as to what considerations they gave it.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions for staff, I'll now declare this public hearing open. We'll now hear from the applicant. How much time do you think you need?
10 minutes?
Thank you.
And good evening. It's good to be with you here tonight. Mayor Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, members of the City Council. I am Neil Ghosh with the Morningstar Law Group at 700 West Main Street in Durham. And thank you, Mr. Lester, for your presentation. I'm representing the applicant for this rezoning and annexation. I believe Dan Papst also is with me, the project's civil engineer. He's in chambers tonight. At about 10 acres, this is a relatively small infill development site. The property basically is surrounded by the Micah Ridge development, which will consist of townhomes and single-family homes. Most of the existing housing stock in this area consists of single-family detached homes. This project will consist of a maximum of 58 townhome units on about 10 acres. 3 sides of this assemblage are already surrounded by the city of Durham, so the annexation will close a portion of an existing donut hole in the city's jurisdiction, which I think generally is desirable. We believe that residential development here is appropriate. The place type map shows this property within a larger mixed-use neighborhood designation, which spans east-west from Mineral Springs Road to Highway 70, and it includes some vacant property which fronts Highway 70. While we recognize that mixed use is desired overall in the designated area, residential seems to make sense on this small 10-acre infill site, which is surrounded by residential uses and which only has frontage on the smaller road, Mineral Springs Road. Meanwhile, there are properties within the designation which are much more ideally situated for non-residential uses. In fact, we have had some conversations with staff about access for this project. One of the entrances for the adjacent Micah Ridge project is proposed just north of this assemblage. I think NCDOT, the city, and frankly us too, we all agree that if possible, it would be best to access this property from the Micah Ridge entrance road rather than to create another driveway cut along Mineral Springs. Of course, at this stage, we don't know if that can be achieved, so We do have a commitment in the zoning related to improvements out on Mineral Springs Road if we are to access this site from Mineral Springs instead of the new road that Michael Ridge will implement. It's been touched on a little bit already, but this rezoning has several text commitments that help bring this project into better compliance with the new comprehensive plan. We have a minimum of 5 income-restricted townhomes to be sold to those making 80% of the area median income for a period of 30 years, which is a little over 8% of the total number of units at full build-out. We have increased the tree canopy coverage from 20% to 25%, and we have a commitment that this coverage will come completely from preserved trees. I know it's a little unclear, but these trees primarily are within environmentally sensitive areas on the property. That's something that came up at Planning Commission hearings, so I just wanted to clear that up tonight. We also have decreased the allowed impervious surface maximum from 70% to 50%. We've committed to using native plant species. We have a commitment to break up the open space areas into at least 3 distinct areas to create a more interesting layout. And we also have a commitment to Durham Public Schools. I did want to touch on a couple things that came up at the Planning Commission hearing. We don't know whether blasting will be required here. Generally speaking, that is not the type of thing that folks would know at this stage. Blasting is a last resort thing for developers. It's something that they want to avoid. But unfortunately, we can't really make a commitment relative to the amount of blasting that might occur. We just don't know. I know there were some questions about some unfulfilled requests from BPAC and transportation related to pedestrian infrastructure. Specifically, transportation requested some off-site sidewalk to the south of this project. Our team did look into this. We were unable to verify that adequate right-of-way exists to accommodate the sidewalk. Moreover, the properties to the south are not within the city's jurisdiction, so it's unclear how or whether the city would maintain those sidewalks if they were built, because they would not be in the city's jurisdiction. Also, because the properties are not within the city, the road section has ditch and swale sections instead of curb and gutter to accommodate stormwater and drainage. So the sidewalk would have to be beyond the ditch and swale sections. On the properties in question, we observed planters, a fence, and a power pole in the area behind the ditch and swale section. So we didn't make this commitment to provide this offsite sidewalk, as it would impact what appears to be private improvements and utility infrastructure. And before I move on from this point, I also just want to point out that based on the city's fee in lieu for sidewalk, I mean, we're talking about 432 feet roughly of sidewalk here. That would be about $400,000 of sidewalk infrastructure for the 5 foot, which is quite a bit. BPAC had a few requests as well. I believe one of them was fulfilled with the commitment to provide a 10-foot multi-use path along the front of the site. And I know we've talked about this before, but BPAC had another request to provide a bollard-separated on-road bike lane. NCDOT does not favor this approach, so we didn't make this commitment, but the proffered 10-foot multi-use path would provide the bicycle connectivity in a similar fashion. Finally, they also requested a pedestrian-actuated mid-block diagonal crossing across Mineral Springs Road. This is just dangerous. So typically you want crosswalks to be perpendicular to the road and at an intersection. This is neither. We didn't make this commitment because we were concerned about safety. And finally, I want to touch on the stormwater commitment. This came up a few times at the Planning Commission. We've had some time to study that some more. And so now we know what's possible, and I'm happy to report that we are able to commit to detaining the 100-year storm event. This project was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. It was a narrow vote, but we've tried to address the items they brought up as best we can. We're happy to be able to commit to stronger stormwater standard. This is an ideal infill type of development with a good percentage of affordable for sale ownership units committed. And I think it's worth noting that my client on this project is not like a national home builder. It's a group of local guys, local meaning out of Morrisville, but they're trying to do infill type projects to fill in some gaps and add incrementally more to the housing stock. So we hope to have your support tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. All right. I had a few speakers signed up. Just to make sure, let's see what the applicant is. Dan, okay. Are you with the applicant? Yes, sir. All right. Okay. Hamad Afshari? Okay.
I believe Hamad's on the
I'm
next
sorry,
one.
that's another one. Sorry. All right, cool. All right, I do have speakers online: Donna Sandback, Pamela Andrews, and Wanda Allen, and Pam Williams, and Katie Ross. All right, so I'll start with Ms. Standback. Can you hear me, Ms. Standback?
Hello, yes, I can.
All right, welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Donna Steinbach. I live at 4825 Jimmy Rogers Road in Durham, North Carolina. I do not accept or like this proposal because, again, it's another car-centric proposal, and there are no stores, retail, or healthcare in the vicinity. And the Mineral Springs is already so congested, and I understand why they were talking about the outlet for Michael Ridge, and it is a curving road that is very difficult to drive on, and access to it and access to 70 will be an issue. There are several accesses in that area. The schools right now are maxed out at the elementary and middle school. Now, some of this can be offset by busing, but I guess who's going to ask the new residents or new buyers that, or is it okay for their children to be bused? Because a lot of them would like that area because of the good schools. So this next item, this is another Fire Station 8 project, concern over many new developments in that area. We continue to have infrastructure issues with fire, roads, EMS, schools. Will this be mass graded? If so, then the 0.6 opacity buffering is required. And I heard Neil's comments about the blasting, and that would be a very bad place for there to be blasting. I'd like to thank y'all for hearing my comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next person I have is Ms. Pamela Andrews. Ms. Andrews, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I sure can. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Thank you so much. My name is Pamela Andrews. I live at 6108 Wake Forest Highway. Good evening, Mayor Williams, as well as council members. I want to speak a couple of issues tonight. There are several issues that continue to plague Southeast Durham. Blasting continues to be an issue. Just this week, neighbors felt blasts for miles away after a blasting site on Baptist Road, causing neighbors to call Fire Station 8, the sheriff's office, and some residents to go to the site. The blast was so intense, people knew something was seriously wrong. Citizens need an independent third party to monitor the seismograph results. When a seismograph is placed in your yard, no numbers appear. If you are the recipient of a seismograph, you cannot read any of the numbers. Last Friday, Chief Zodos issued a stop work order while the investigation is underway. Again, almost all these sites in this area have had blasting, so we anticipate blasting on this one. Tomato soup continues to flow off sites, and this one will flow as well. It will make its way down Holder Road into Little Lick Creek. This will cause more flooding at Tim Ellis's home and into the Grove Park Community Lake, which was dredged a few years ago at the HOA's expense. The lake looks really bad again, according to residents. In addition to dredging the Grove Park Lake, the HOA had to pay $100,000 of the $1.5 million cost of the Grove Park Restoration Project in eastern Durham County. Quote, upstream development along with past straightening of the channels and timbering have greatly degraded the tributaries of Little Lick Creek flowing into the lake, causing rapid sedimentation. Little Lick Creek and Falls Lake are impaired due to nutrient and sediment pollution and are listed on the state's 303D list of impaired waters per Durham County. Lastly, the runoff onto people's property from retention ponds has become a really big concern for a number of residents lately. Councilman Rist visited with me, a homeowner off Sharon Road, suffering from runoff during a tour in August. When the developer did not resolve the issue, the property owner has now turned to an attorney to find resolution. This is happening on a number of sites in the area when the runoff from these ponds flows. Citizens in Southeast Durham continue to suffer secondary impacts from development. We ask you to say no until resolutions are found to blasting, continuous stream damage to tomato soup, and retention pond runoff onto neighbors' property. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Next, I have Wanda Allen. Ms. Allen, can you hear me?
I can. Thank you.
Welcome.
This is
You got 3
Wanda.
minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to speak tonight. The Middle Springs Townhome Project will have an impact, as Pam just said, on the residents that are already experiencing flooding in their yard from ongoing construction. As the developer mentioned tonight, there are several developments that are going on around Holder Road and Grove Park. As Pam also mentioned, that the Grove Park Restoration Project will also be impacted. Let's look at this. We have $1.5 million for 6,000 feet. 6,000 feet, which includes $1,000 from the homeowners. And the Little Lick Creek is, according to your website, is a water quality of D. I'll say that again, according to your website, is a water quality of D. In addition, Little Lick Creek is listed as impaired. So you're supposed to be taking extra steps to find and reduce the source of pollution in the creek. And City Council is very much aware of the devastation that is happening to our creeks because your budget reflects millions of dollars to restore the creeks in Durham. So my question number one is to the City Council. Why do we continue to slam these areas where the citizens are now experiencing flooding and the citizens are paying for the cleanup devastation? My second question is, how does the developer propose a proffer tonight to help plan, to pay and offer the citizens of what they've already done their part? As taxpayers, we have done our part to pay for the restoration. So I would ask the developer what he is planning to proffer for us tonight to help us and the families on Holder Road and Grove Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Next, I have Pam Williams. Ms. Williams, can you hear me?
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Williams is not in the queue.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Katie Ross. Ms. Ross, can you hear me?
Ms. Ross is not there either.
All right, thank you so much. All right, those are all the speakers I have signed up. Mr. Ghosh, do you care to? Okay, all right. I have no other speakers, so at this time, I will declare the public hearing closed and back before the council. Colleagues, are there any comments or questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. This is a question for staff again, back to the ask around the sidewalk and whether it's in or out of city limits.
So the off-site sidewalk to the south that we requested for the additional proffer, the right-of-way is within the city limits and has been annexed. So if they were able to construct it within the existing right-of-way, then the city would be able to maintain it. But the 3 properties themselves are not in the city limits.
Thank you. And then I have a question to the applicant. You shared that you weren't sure if there was enough space. Can you repeat what you said? Thank you.
Yeah, so we could not verify that there is adequate right-of-way to provide sidewalk beyond the ditch and swell section. Based on what we had seen, there does not appear to be enough right-of-way. And as I understand it, the sidewalk would have to go, so you'd have the road, ditch and swell section, and the sidewalk have to go beyond that. Yeah.
Is there a way to, and this is ultimately up to y'all, but is there a way to structure a proffer based on that information? So if then.
Oh, as in, if there is adequate right-of-way, then we would build the sidewalk? I suppose, I think in the past, that type of condition had not been accepted, so I would ask staff the same question.
Sorry, just confirming with the planning department, but there have been, particularly as it relates to off-site right-of-way proffers for voluntary proffers, an allowance that it's if right-of-way is available. So there could be a proffer that would be conditional upon it being adequate right-of-way, existing right-of-way.
Okay.
That has not been allowed when it's been like a required improvement, in terms of like a TIA or other roadway improvement.
And a voluntary, it is allowed.
But as something voluntary above and beyond.
Thank you. That's it. Just curious. I know y'all may need time to talk about it, but that is a curiosity I have, if it is allowed to be structured in such a way as a voluntary proffer. And that's my only question right now. Thank you.
Yeah. Follow up. Hold on. Let me just go to.
Sorry, Bill, I'm going to get you back up here again. I just, as a quick follow-up, listening to that, so this was a staff-initiated request. I guess I don't understand how we don't already have the information about whether or not the right-of-way is enough for a sidewalk.
Yeah. Well, in order to determine, you would need a survey of those properties and the roadway to locate exactly where the edge of pavement is and the right-of-way property lines, the ditch. So, yeah, we just don't have that level of information.
Is it normal for us to make a request before we have that level of information? Is the assumption then that because it's not the land that was having to do with this zoning, so was the assumption the applicant would get that information?
Correct, since the applicant is typically out there doing survey work on the parcel that they're looking to develop, they can usually determine that information as part of their project.
Okay, thank you. And then, Mr. Ghosh, did y'all knew that this was a request that was coming, and so you said you were not able to ascertain. Can you just?
Right, so we can't go survey someone else's property, but what we did observe is that, so in the area directly behind the ditch, there are planters on one property, there is a fence on another property, and then on the third property, when I say fence, there's a wooden, what I would call horse fence. And then on the third property, there's no noticeable private improvements. There is a power pole on that, like directly on the backside of the ditch and swale. So based on that, and we can't go survey their property, based on that, I mean, the assumption is that the fence is not within right-of-way, it is within private property. So there does not appear to be sufficient right-of-way to accommodate sidewalk in that location.
There's a lot of looking, but no one has said anything.
Not sure what's going on.
Everyone's squinching at each other. All right, Councilmember Riss.
I have a separate issue, but we may want to come back to that one. I just want to, first of all, thank you. I know there were a lot of comments from BPAC. I appreciate you being very thoughtful about those, including this question about the additional shared use path on the parcels to the south. There was another BPAC comment about requesting raised crosswalks across any car access point.
Oh, Yeah, sorry, I did not mention that. That is something that we could commit to, would be subject to approval by either City of Durham or NCDOT at time of site plan, providing raised crosswalks across the entrances. I'll just point out, we're not at a design stage where we know where the entrance is going to be. Our hope is that we can establish one to the new road coming in from Micah Ridge. That's a more low-traffic road, and the Micah Ridge one is directly north of this site. So we think that would be a safer and better option than if we were required to have or can only establish an access point on Mineral Springs. But we can make the commitment regardless. We just don't know where it would be.
Appreciate that, thanks.
Yeah.
Just want to follow up on Councilmember Caballero's question. Were you willing to make that commitment?
Oh, I didn't understand that to be the question. I will say, I hadn't talked to my client about that. I mean, I feel like they probably would be in favor, be able to make that commitment, but I can't say that because I have not talked to them.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm sorry, Council. Will you finish, Councilman?
Are you able to get on the phone and talk to them?
Perhaps I would need some time.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I know it's an imperfect science. What are the anticipated price points of the townhomes?
So they don't know specifically. I think our
comps.
I'm sorry.
Comps in the area, roughly.
So there'll likely be less than the comps, and the reason the comps in the area because that Micah Ridge project is is being developed around it, and that Micah Ridge project is going to bring some of the infrastructure infrastructure near this site. So those comps, like say from Micah Ridge, for example, are likely going to have baked into them some of that infrastructure cost. This is a much smaller project that is hopefully going to be able to take advantage of that infrastructure because it's an infill development. So it'll likely be less than what new product is coming online in the area, if that makes sense.
I'm going to ask you all to use full terms, though, rather than shorthand.
What'd I say?
Comparable properties, sorry. Yeah.
All right. So I read the, as I always do, the Planning Commission's comments with great interest. I'm inclined to support this development. A couple of things. One, it's infill development. It's contiguous and it's infill. And given our really fervent desire to keep faith with our urban growth boundary, infill just takes on a new meaning for me, a new importance for me. So I'm inclined to support it. I think the Planning Commission got it right. I do also take very seriously the comments from members of the public and concerns from members of the public. My challenge is that my vote is contextualized to the case that's before me. And what I've heard are arguments against development. Not necessarily this particular case, but development in general, which gets us back to, a moratorium. If everything that was said is true of this development, then it's going to be true of all of them coming in that area. And I understand the concerns and sensitivities to that area. I've asked from this podium, do we have the power to do away with blasting? We do not. We can't declare a moratorium in an area. At least out loud. You can vote how you want. So I think insofar as it's infill, it's contiguous. I think it doesn't do any violence to the place type map either. It's a growing area out there. It's going to be developed. I'm inclined to support this project. I am curious as to what your clients say about the proffer if and when you get them on the phone. But I'll be supporting this project. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other comments? Yep.
Are we still waiting on that phone call? Yes.
Dan's out in the hallway.
One more question. Will there be blasting?
We just don't know the answer to that question. I mean, we don't have mature enough subsurface evaluation to say that there will or won't be, for what it's worth. And I also don't know the answer to this. I think the best answer, other than once you get into development, the best answer would be to observe what happens on Micah Ridge and where, because this project is kind of, that project is kind of horseshoe shaped, and this is in the middle of that horseshoe. So if they have blasting for Micah Ridge kind of up along where this project is, then that would suggest that there's outcropping of rock there, but we just don't know.
Just out of curiosity, with the blasting question, what is the other mechanism?
Well, so I think I said earlier that blasting is generally a developer's last resort. Once they hit rock, they have to evaluate whether it's rippable, so they could use something like a excavator to rip it out. If not, they can use a jackhammer to chip away at it. If that doesn't work, then I mean, as far as I know, blasting is essentially the next option.
I would assume that all of that also produces sound and disruption to the neighbors around.
Oh, so the jackhammer is by far much noisier than blasting or ripping, because it's constant. And you have to get, yeah, so that's much noisier.
Slower process than blasting?
Slower for sure, yeah.
So potentially louder and for longer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Rist, did you want to wait? Okay.
So I got an answer. Yeah, they would be willing to make a commitment to investigate and build that 10-foot side path to the south if there is sufficient right-of-way currently available for that.
All right.
And can I ask one point of clarification for staff just on that? It was a 10-foot request, right? Not a 5-foot sidewalk?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
10-foot multi-use?
Yeah. So you have proffered 10-foot on your parcel as well, and I believe Micah Ridge has. So yeah, ideally it would be a 10-foot to fill in the gap between the two projects. But I think, yeah, we'd be willing to take whatever.
Yep, we'd make that commitment.
So basically, if there's space, it would be a 10-foot shared path, and if there's not sufficient space, we would see if there's a sidewalk, if there's space for that, and then we understand that it's only if there's space based on y'all's analysis.
Yes, so if there's sufficient right-of-way, which is not a subjective thing.
No, I got you. That's why I was like, can we ask for it this way?
Yeah, so then they would construct, I guess I would say up to a 10-foot wide multi-use path.
Perfect. Thank you. Can I, yeah, so this is we're in the middle of a bond. These sidewalk gaps are expensive. So I appreciate that proffer. And then overall, this is a really good project. I know there's always challenges, right? And so within that, we're just trying to find, at least the way I make decisions, is the best path that I can with a multitude of things to think about. The fact that it's going to be less expensive than the housing that's being built around it. It has a good affordability commitment. There was some other, the fact that y'all were able to provide the 100-year stormwater and get to that point, and some of the commitments that were to be packed, and this additional proffer. So I will be in support of this. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I was going to say much the same thing. So yeah, we talk about this a lot. There's no perfect case. And I think staff had said clearly this is audit dependent right now. I think our challenge in the city of Durham is to build our infrastructure out to meet these new communities that we're building. So I think the other items that my colleague, Councilmember Caballero, referred to are all, I think, show a lot of willingness to work with the city of Durham. So I'll be supporting this case. Thank you.
All right, I just had a couple of questions for staff again. So how do you, when you're breaking soil, how do you completely stop the runoff? How do you stop, like if you're breaking the soil and it rains, how do you stop all of that from running downstream into a creek?
Good evening, Sarah Young with the Planning Department. So erosion control measures are in place, are supposed to be in place for construction.
The ones we did like last year?
I cannot say that for certain that catches every ounce of everything that comes off that site, particularly when there is a rain event, but the intent of those measures is to minimize soil erosion.
And I was going to ask the question around, I'm going to ask it just a few questions, like an alternative to blasting, but Councilmember Javi Caballero happened to look at my notes, and she asked that question. The other is, do you know any information about the Durham Public Schools Grow Together policy? That means they're sort of like moving kids around the district, balancing it out a little bit. Is that accurate, you know?
Yes, I know a little bit from our work with them, but I cannot speak for them.
All right. Sometimes ask a question I know the answer to. So that sort of helps with balancing the schools out. However, let's say Durham County just became so overpopulated. No, let me just put it this way. Let's say we are under capacity. Would it make sense to build a new school yet? So let's say, you know, a school has X amount of kids in it. And the reason why I'm asking this question, I know it sounds like really simple, stupid, but I'm asking because I want the public to understand how things work. So maybe I won't use schools, let's use transportation. Does it make sense to widen a road that doesn't have a lot of traffic on it?
So typically with any type of infrastructure, for instance, we look at the capacity, and when something is nearing or exceeding its capacity, that is when the relevant departments look at what do we need to do to put in place to make sure that we can adequately serve that area.
But you don't build additional infrastructure for luxury or just because?
Right. We typically do not have a build it and they will eventually come regime. We wait to see and make sure that the improvements are needed and warranted.
Is there any government in this area that functions that way?
I am not aware.
Okay. And I'm not being condescending. I just want to make sure that I ask these questions in the most simplest terms, because I don't want certain things to be put out there and it's like, oh, the council is just building stuff, whatever. There's something that's going to be built on these sites, whether we vote yay or nay tonight. We're trying to find, as it was stated earlier, find the best way forward to get what we can to provide, you know, the infrastructure and capacity we need for folks that live in Durham and the folks that are coming to Durham, and ultimately trying to put a roof over anyone's head that lives in this area. So I'll be supporting this tonight as well. And with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance annexing Mineral Springs Townhouses into the city of Durham and to authorize the city manager to enter into a utility extension agreement with Yeti Hospitality Group, LLC.
Moved as read.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Will you please close the vote?
The motion passes 6-0.
All right, thank you so much. And I'll also entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of residential suburban 20 Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District B, county jurisdiction, and establishing the same as planned development residential 5.349 Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District B, city jurisdiction.
Moved as read.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
And lastly, I'll entertain a motion to adopt a consistency statement as required by the North Carolina General Statute, Section 160D-605.
Move to adopt consistency.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. So at this time, colleagues, we will take a break and resume back at 9 p.m.
So Tasha, $60 million sounds like a lot to build 12 miles of sidewalks. Can you tell us what all is involved in actually constructing a sidewalk?
Yes, these are not simply sidewalk projects, but some of them are actually road construction projects. There is a lot involved, and what is represented here is the full cost of project delivery. There will be design costs, consultant costs associated with the acquisition of right-of-ways, the relocation of utilities, as well as project management oversight and inspection. That is in addition to the actual construction costs associated with each project. Additionally, some of these projects require significant lane widening, even some culvert extensions. So these are not simply sidewalk projects, but some of them are actually road construction projects.
When we talk about East End and Long Meadow parks, we typically think there are two parks, right? But it's one project. So why is this project and these parks so important for Durham?
Yeah, it was really interesting. We've learned a lot in this journey, exploring these two parks historically. And we've learned that both of these parks, when they first began, these were segregated parks. So Long Meadow Park was typically the white park, and East End was typically the black park. Obviously, those parks have evolved since then. Now we're looking at an opportunity as we see these parks, how close in proximity they really are. And we also know we have a project on the horizon called the R. Kelly Bryant Bridge Trail, and this trail runs in between them. So this is an opportunity to invest in these two parks and unite them.
Friends in chamber, if you can come to order, please. The mayor will be back in just a moment, so we can be ready when he gets back. There he is. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. March. It's good seeing you. All right. And thank you, Director Williams. Sharon, thank you. All right, back to it. Item number 28, zoning map change, 302 Morreene Road.
Been received
Is that
from.
mic on?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Squared away. A request for a zoning map change has been received from Hamed Afshari, an individual property owner for one parcel of land totaling 0.51 acres and located at 302 Morreene Road. The current zoning is residential suburban 20 and residential suburban multifamily. The applicant proposes to change this designation to residential suburban multifamily for the entire parcel, which would allow up to 4 dwelling units or 6 utilizing the small lot option. This is a general rezoning where there's no text or graphic development plan associated with this rezoning proposal, so no commitments above what the UDO requires can be made, and any future development may proceed according to what the zoning would allow. The properties are currently designated established residential on the place type map. The proposed residential suburban multifamily zoning is generally consistent with the designated place type. Thank you. Staff and the applicant are available for any questions.
Thank you. You've heard the staff report. Are there any questions for staff? All right, I'll now declare this public hearing open. And I only have one sign up. And that is the applicant. Would you like to share remarks about it? How much time do you think you need?
I don't know, maybe like 2-3 minutes.
Right, welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Good night, Mr. Mayor and City Council member. So my name is Hamed Afshari. I'm living in the 118 Meadowbrook Drive in Chapel Hill. I got this lot, and my plan is to this lot is vacant lot. Is sitting across Morreene Road and Whitfield Street. My plan is to putting like a student housing. This lot is like a few miles away from the Duke University, and I'm like pro-education. So when I got this lot, my plan was to putting like a affordable like rental property for mostly student at Duke University, which is nearby. And also I was informed that city also has a plan to have a like bike lane across the Morreene Road, which is very helpful for this development project that we are planning to do here. So, and yeah, and if you have any question, yeah, I will be happy to take that. So thank you.
Thank you. Those are the speakers that I have. Colleagues, any questions for the applicant? All right. You're professional at this already. I'll now declare this public hearing closed and back before the council. There are no questions, so therefore, I will entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just say one thing. So I think the Planning Commission got this one right. I think it's an exciting project. This is on a bus line, and I should say also that Morreene Road, this is where, if I'm not mistaken, staff can correct me, but this is Morreene Road is scheduled with the bond passing to have sidewalks extended out to that part of Morreene Road. So that's definitely what we're doing with the bonds. Bill, if you'd confirm that, or Mr. Judge, I appreciate that.
Yes, this portion of Morreene Road where this site is part of one of the bond packages to construct the sidewalk, as well as there are widening for bicycle lanes on both sides of Morreene.
Thank you. I'll be supporting this.
Makes so much sense. It's a highly populated area with foot traffic with all the students and also just very residential. So thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of residential suburban 20 and residential suburban multifamily and establishing the same as residential suburban multifamily.
So moved.
Second.
So moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. And the next motion, lastly, to adopt a consistency statement as required by North Carolina General Statute, Section 160D-605.
So moved.
Now you back. All right, it's been moved and probably seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote so all members of council can vote. Please close the vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. You're good, sir. Thank you. Sweet. All right, number 29. All right, next up, we have Consolidated Annexation, Oxford Ridge.
Awesome. Thank you again. A request for utility extension agreement, voluntary annexation, an initial zoning map change has been received from Tim Sivers of Unity for 3 parcels of land totaling 58.7 acres and located at 875 East Carver Street, along with 955 and 1007 Old Oxford Road. This annexation petition is for a contiguous expansion of the primary corporate limits. The current zoning is commercial center with a development plan, commercial neighborhood with a development plan, and industrial light. The applicant proposes to change this designation to Planned Development Residential 5.174 with a textual development plan to allow up to 300 residential units limited to single-family, two-family, multifamily, and co-living uses. The properties are currently designated mixed-use neighborhood and recreation and open space on the place type map. The proposed Planned Development Residential 5.174 zoning is inconsistent with the designation with the designated use shown on the place type map. If the proposed zoning is approved, staff recommends a change of the mixed-use neighborhood place type to mixed residential neighborhood. The areas currently designated recreation and open space would remain so. Thank you, and staff and the applicant are available for any questions.
Thank you. You've heard the staff report. Are there any questions for staff? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I want to say there's no legally prescribed conflict of interest for me in this case, but I do, as is my practice, want to divulge that the not-for-profit that I lead is a significant landowner in this area, actually right near this parcel of land. We are also within the reporting area for the notification area, but there's absolutely zero financial interest or impact to me or my organization. I do want to divulge that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, at this time, I'll declare this public hearing open, and I have several signups here. I apologize, I got my cards out of order tonight, so who's the applicant? Is it? Okay, all right. Mr. Ghosh, how much time do you think you need?
We've got a couple speakers. I'm going to say 10 minutes. I don't know if it'll take that long.
You call this a couple? This is quite a few.
Oh, well, we've got a few.
I will say this. Every speaker I have is a proponent. If we want to have I guess, good job, first of all, from all of these residents here coming to speak in support. Since everyone is a proponent, don't feel compelled to speak unless you really want to, 9:10 p.m. But it's up to you all. Mr. Ghosh, how much time do you think you need?
I individually will need less than 3 minutes. I'll just not take much time at all. Just say, I'm Neil Ghosh, Morningstar Law Group. been assisting with this project. I'm actually just going to turn it over to Ted Heilbronn, Helena Craig, who have been working on this project. Yeah, Ted, take it away.
Thank you, Noel. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, I will also be brief. We have been working on this project now for a number of years. It started with our work adjacent to this site as a part of the Carver assemblage. The refrain that we have heard from Bragtown residents, and we have met with many, there is a variety of desires to see how the neighborhood is developed, but a general clear consensus for affordable for-sale housing. If you look up and down Old Oxford Road, which this site is sort of the terminus of that as you get to the edge of the city and the start of the county, we'll be under construction on 198 units of affordable housing in February. The Sankofa Landing project is another 150 units. Oxford Manor is obviously there. There's been, thanks to the city's investment in affordable housing with the Durham Forever Home funds, there's a significant amount of affordable rental housing that is coming to this neighborhood. This project will provide 27 affordable for-sale units. It represents a little over 10% of the project. It will be the largest, most substantial affordable for-sale development in the history of the Bragtown neighborhood. We are partnering on this project with Helena Craig, who is a local neighbor, a residential developer, local community advocate. We're super excited about that partnership. I'd say the last important, pertinent piece of information, when the legacy use next to the Cattsburg store, which was a gas station, was removed, there was an issue that led to the release of gasoline into the water table. There are benzene deposits that are out there. We've been in communication with NCDEQ for the last 18 months to further investigate that and come up with a remediation plan that will eliminate this issue for the neighborhood. It's the right thing to do, and it needs to happen, and it's going to happen in conjunction with our project. Thank you for your consideration, and I'll see the dais for the rest of the folks who are going to speak.
Thank you. I'm going to call the names to speak or stand, and however you want to do it. I have Ms. Donna Frederick, Helena Craig, Claire Charney, Alex Adrian, Amber Bergen Brothers, and Sylvia Williams.
Good evening, Donna Frederick from Bragtown. Of course, proponent of this great project. We've worked many years together with Bragtown and our neighbors. We are here on behalf of Bragtown to say thank you for all the support that has been lent to us during all of this meetings. We've been meeting for a long time about this. And the great thing he said is affordable for purchase. It builds stability in families to purchase. You know, affordability in rental is great, but for purchase is really a keynote in family structure, and we really need that in Bragtown, and we thank the developers so much for working with us.
Good evening, thank you all. You see that I went to my go-to, which is really the perspective of a community member, but really am coming forward as a collaborative partner to build out the affordable for sale, as well as some unique co-living for our seniors. There's not very many opportunities for a nonprofit to be able to bring forward such amazing options, and also in parallel to remediate some very severe benzene contamination in the ground. So I really would just hope that you all would support this project as a very unique opportunity that we have. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sylvia Williams, and I live at 1017 Old Oxford Road. I'm in full support of this project as a neighbor in the Oxford Hamlin community. Affordable housing is well needed in Durham, and with this project, it's directly in the path towards better housing for seniors. The project will also provide a resolution to the cleanup of the contamination on the old Cattsburg site, which has contaminated many surrounding households, including my own, supply of water. A vote yes for this important project will aid in housing and a cleaner environment. Thank you all for your time, and thank you for all you do for the community.
Hi, good evening. My name is Claire Charney. I'm a neighbor. I live at 224 Riley Drive. I support this project. I've been here before in opposition to projects close to us in the past, and so I thought it was important to come out for something that I think is a really, like my neighbors have said, is a really unique opportunity for our community, affordable housing. And this cleanup at this site is, at no cost to neighbors is a pretty big deal. Just providing housing for senior LGBTQ plus residents, partnering with a local nonprofit, widening Old Oxford Road, which has been needed for a long time, with a bike lane and sidewalks. This would all affect the community in a positive manner, and I urge you to support this project. Thank you.
Happy homecoming.
Good evening. Happy homecoming. Amber Bergen Brothers here from Elijah's Farm. I just want to say briefly that I, as a neighbor who is also a part of the community as a business owner, this project not only provides us with a community of people to serve for a lifetime as a farmer, but it also protects our farm from environmental conditions. And so for that, we're very grateful, and we hope that you will join us in that fight.
Hi, I'm Alex Adrian. I'm not a neighbor yet. I would hope this is built and I could be a neighbor. I did submit my comments earlier, so I'll let you go ahead and read them. But I am really excited about the intentional intergenerational community that can be built here. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all of the, just double check. Those are all the speakers that I have for this. So therefore, at this moment, I'll declare this public hearing closed and back before the council. And colleagues?
I don't actually have any questions. I just want to say that I'm really impressed with this project, and I think many of the community members have spoken to it, but the cleanup at no cost to the neighbors is such a valuable thing. It's frustrating that it happened, and it's frustrating that it's there, and it's been leaking into and contaminating the air and the soil around this area, and I wish that it had never happened, and also it has, and so this as a project to incorporate the cleanup I think is really important, and I'm just glad to see that the neighborhood has really come together, community has really come together and voiced what they were looking for and what was needed in this community. I know that it doesn't quite fit our place type map, but I think that all of those aspects are really important when we're looking at a project that comes in front of us. We have to balance a lot of things. So I'll be in support of this project tonight. I want to appreciate all the work that's gone into it. I know there have been many community meetings over many years, and I'm excited to see what we can do here. So thank you very much.
I grew up playing baseball at the Katzenberg field, played many years there as a little kid. So I'm excited to see the kind of support that's been generated, to have the community turn out the way that it has, writing in folks who aren't here tonight who have written us, folks who have been organizing for a very long time in the Bragtown community, and who have opposed previous development proposals that have come up here. And sometimes you have to say no a few times to get to a really good yes, and I think that this shows that. I did have just one question. If you have already thought about the design of the homes, I'm just curious if you're considering front porches for those homes.
Yes, our chosen architect and build team would be the Gail Crabtree Building Group. So really our goal is to build a quality house that is no different than any house you would find in Trinity Park. So they would absolutely have a front porch.
All right, thank you.
All right now.
Earlier today, I was like, oh, when are we going to get to do the Happy Project? So, so this is a really good project in a corridor where we've done some really impressive work between neighbors, developers, and the city. And I think right now what I know is coming is we're going to have to do some deep infrastructure around this corridor so that we can do the connectivity that folks deserve. We're going to have a new light industrial park with Venture Park that's going to offer high-paying jobs. There's homeownership opportunities. There's affordable rental opportunities. There's already a bus line further up this road that one day we're going to have to extend, including sidewalk, extend the sidewalk, extend the bike infrastructure, and that's going to be on the city and residents. And so I look forward to that future and to that connectivity that we started, I think, with Carver Street Assemblage was, I think, the first project. And I think it's an example of, I think the initial Carver Street Assemblage, the developer had plans and then got some pretty, strong feedback from neighbors and responded to that feedback. And since then, each project has just gotten better, and I think is a good template of what can happen when community works really closely with the development team. Instead of being adversaries, y'all have been collaborators, and so thank you, and I'm glad that the neighbors who have had not safe drinking water are going to get safe drinking water.
I promise you have my notes. Well, you keep saying my exact comments. Get out of my head.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I agree with my colleague, Councilmember Caballero. Happy rezoning project. We often say, as we just did on the early case, are often complicated. This is a great project. I love the cleanup piece, the deep engagement you've done in the community, the affordability, both the specific affordability at 80% AMI, but also, as I understand, the affordability in terms of the price point of the for sale units, right? As Ms. Frederick said, having folks folks that have the opportunity to buy homes is a critical piece of building community. So the ability to allow folks to become homeowners in that neighborhood is a really exciting piece of this, and I think the price point will allow that. As my colleague also said, the connectivity is great down Carver, right? There's a bike path there, there's sidewalks, and so right now the buses don't come out there, but one could easily walk or bike along that sidewalk or bike path to, I think it's at Carver and what's the bus stop there at the nearest, Danube, right? It's a Danube, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Yeah, thank you.
it's a great element, yeah. I did have one question, since I ask all these, since I'm on BPAC. There were a couple requests from BPAC that you said you'd address at the site plan. A couple things, let me pull these up here. If you remember those. I was wondering if you could just comment on what the thinking is there. One was about, right, these bicycle pedestrian connections will be provided between Old Oxford and East Carver Street at access points along East Carver, that one. And then there's also one about paint high visibility crosswalks in between sidewalks within the development and ensure all ramps are ADA compliant. So just, I know that's a site plan piece, but just if you could say more about that.
So, and Tim, feel free to fill in the gaps here, but some of the requests from BPAC on this particular project were, I guess I would say, confusing. They weren't very specific on what they're trying to accomplish. So let me just put it out there that this project is going to include sidewalks and bicycle connectivity within the project. To the extent that there may be some gaps, I mean, we're filling in the gaps that at least, we're filling in the gaps that I believe BPAC was referring to, because just to be clear, that's required by the UDO. So I don't know that there was much more for us to respond to for some of these, because we have made the commitment to provide the 10-foot shared path. I think with respect to painting a high visibility crosswalk, I don't know that we got, I don't know that we have a specific response on that, whether it can be done or will be done, but it is something that can be looked at time of site plan. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, members of the community who came out tonight. As a council member, I could not be more excited to vote for this project, and as a neighbor, I could not be more excited about the light that's going to emanate from this project. I don't want to put our business out there, but I don't know how long ago we had a conversation about the possibilities of that area, and it was all a dream. And now to see it come to this point is just a, when I'm out of the seat and I look back, this will be one of the times I look back on and say, that was one of the high moments. So I hope it passes. I'm going to vote for it. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I say often, the last 2 years were really tough because we were trying to get our rhythm. As a went from the major argument of public safety to the major argument of housing. And I remember some of you all. I remember some of you all coming in here and you would be in the long lines for colleagues that are new. The lines used to be all the way around back there, all opposition. And it's just, housing was just much more of a very adversarial topic. But I'm seeing some of the same faces and some of the same developers and representatives, legal representatives in here checking the proponent side of the card. And that's building community. That's coming together. And, and I hope it's okay. I'm going to share my comments that I shared with you all today. Councilmember Rist and I, we were together this morning leaving Northern High School. We spent some time with the culinary program out there to celebrate the kickoff of their veganism program. And when we left in the parking lot, it's like, we should go by and check out that site while we're over here. So I don't know if you ever got by there, but I went by.
Later in the day.
Okay, so I went by that day and I went to the wrong site. And, well, sorry about that. But I did go there. And what I felt when I drove out there was, wow. So we just approved Welcome Venture Park, which is going to provide some pretty significant jobs out there where you can live and work and play all in the same community and get there safely. And I remember when I got that call to sit down with community members and developers alike together over dinner, and he said, look, this is what we want to do. We want to let you know what we're working on. And I was like, wow, well, this is awesome. And I started seeing the work happen. I started seeing you guys bring developers to task, and I started seeing developers, say, look, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, and working together. And now we are just seamlessly developing an entire community out there where people can rent, they can buy, they can find something affordable, they can find something that's not affordable, just market rate if they want to. They can work, they can get a job that actually pays well. And we now have actual demand to put a bus line out there because we're going to have the residential demand. And that's how it works. That's how it works. This is how we all get on the same page. And I didn't hear a bunch of, other stuff that it can be, in a sense, impractical. So this is really good, and I just want to highlight the work that you all have done together. And I know folks on camera can't see who I'm pointing at, but I'm talking about the folks who were speaking tonight. So thank you all for working together and not bringing it to the council where we have to be the referee of communication, but actually figuring it out and working together. So thank you all for just making Durham so dope. Thank you. And I look forward to supporting this tonight. And let's see, I was going to say one more thing, but no, that'll be it. All right, so if there are no other comments. Dang, we should have made that one the last one of the night. I think the last one should be okay. There are no other comments. I'll entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance annexing Oxford, yeah, that was it. Annexing Oxford Ridge into the city of Durham and to authorize the city manager to enter into a utility extension agreement with Kelly Development Company, LLC.
Moved as read.
So, second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, and the second and last, the second motion to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of commercial center with the development plan, commercial neighborhood with the development plan, industrial light, Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District B, county jurisdiction, and establishing the same as Planned Development Residential 5.174, Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District B, city jurisdiction.
Moved as read.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right, and lastly, to adopt, motion 3 to adopt a consistency statement as required by North Carolina General Statute, Section 160D, 2021-605.
Move to adopt consistency.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Good job, guys. Did you say you were building an amusement park out there next? I mean, y'all seem to can get anything done, you know? All right. And lastly, item number 30, permanent closing of 165 linear feet of Hamlin Street.
Good evening, Mayor Williams and council members. My name is Leah Larkins, Senior Planner in the Planning Department. The street closing request, SC 2400002, is for the permanent closure of 165 linear feet of Hamlin Street to allow recombination of the right-of-way and adjacent parcels into a 0.29 acre and 0.32 acre parcel north of Lee Street, identified with reads, that's real estate ID numbers 110728 and 110699. The recombination is shown on the associated street closing and recombination plat in attachment C in your staff report. The applicant wishes to close the street because it is an unimproved right-of-way that culminates in a railroad right-of-way with no provision for a future connection to the unimproved right-of-way to the north of the railroad. North Carolina General Statute, Section 160A-299, requires that the governing body make two findings prior to closing any street or alley. These are, number one, closing the street or alley is not contrary to the public interest, and number two, no individual owning property in the vicinity of the street or alley or in the subdivision in which it is located would be deprived of reasonable means of ingress or egress to that property. Section 13.5.1, access of the UDO, requires that every buildable lot have access to a public or private street that is designed, constructed, and maintained to the appropriate standards. Section 3.24.1C.3 requires that the applicant provide responses to 5 factors. These are, number one, does this cause a parcel to lack frontage along a public right-of-way? Number two, how the parcels are accessed other than from closed right-of-way? Number three, how the closing of right-of-way impacts current or potential connectivity within a development or neighborhood? Number four, what are the circumstances that warrant the closing if connectivity is negatively impacted? And number five, what is the public interest in closing the right-of-way? This request was submitted to service agencies for review and comment. All substantive comments were addressed during the review of the case. Staff finds no adverse impact or connectivity or access with this partial street closing. This section of Hamlin Street has not been improved and does not provide access to any other public rights-of-way or parcels of land. This section of the Hamlin Street right-of-way is not maintained by the city. It does not provide any connectivity between public streets since the street section is unimproved and culminates in a railroad right-of-way. The lots adjacent to this street section will maintain the same access, but will have more street frontage on Lee Street after recombination. Staff finds that closing this section of right-of-way will not adversely affect the general public or connectivity in the neighborhood and is available for questions.
Thank you. You've heard the staff report. Are there any questions for staff? All right. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open. I have one card. That is the applicant. How much time do you think you need?
A minute.
All right. Let's put a minute on there.
Good evening. I'm Neil Ghosh with the Morningstar Law Group at 700 West Main Street. What she said. There you go.
Thank you. I don't have any other comments or cards. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed and back before the council. Colleagues, any questions? All right, at this time, I'll now entertain a motion to permanently close 165 linear feet of Hamlin Street.
Moved as read.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, please open the vote. Please close the vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
I think we just broke the record of the fastest public hearing on record. All right, colleagues, those are all of the matters that we have tonight. And I know we have some media outlets in the room, and I know they're going to report on these cases tonight and how well they went, highlighting the community and their work. With that being said, I'll, all right, we have no more business. Thank you all so much. Happy homecoming, NCCU. And I will see you guys marching with the drum majors in the parade on Saturday. Thank you. Colleagues, please look out for invites throughout the weekend, throughout the week, for events that I just can't make. It's homecoming. We're adjourned at 9:36. Good night.